do you work through marriage conflicts? Slam the door and throw things at each other. Today we are doing another Q&A and I have so many questions to get through. I have a feeling we might have to split this video into 2 parts and finish up in a later video. And at the time of this video, we are almost at 50,000 subscribers. It's so hard to believe. I would have never dreamt this was possible when I started my YouTube channel, so thanks to you all for your great support. And if you're new here, my name is Janine. I am a Mennonite mom, and this is a channel where I just kind of try to share the simple joys of life, of being a mom, and just more of a lifestyle channel. So if you feel like subscribing and also hitting the little notification bell, YouTube's pretty bad at notifying people. I have quite a few people that come and say, oh, welcome back, and I'm like, well, I've actually been here. I've been uploading every week. I have skipped a few times, but not too many. I would say about 90% or 95% of the time you can count on a video every Friday. And usually if I take a small break, I will let you all know. Currently, I'm expecting our second child. When you see this video, I will be 35 weeks pregnant. So we are on the countdown and I'm so ready to get there. And by the way, I am getting quite large. Let me just show you my baby bump. I'm definitely getting to that uncomfortable stage. I've been there for a little while now. And I'm ready to claim my body back. First question, are we having a home birth? No, we're actually planning to go to the hospital. I started off with a midwife, but then I decided to switch because we were kind of nervous about some things. And there is a hospital, or it's called a UPMC, Women's Health Center. It's Catholic run, I believe. And we had a really good experience with the staff at Holy Spirit Hospital when Xander was born. But then it switched hands and they left and started their new practice actually closer to where we live, which when I found that out, I was super excited because I love the staff there. They're so amazing, so helpful. And so we decided to switch to hospital, which I feel so much better about. All right, my son Xander, he is 5. There was a lot of questions about whether we plan to homeschool him, whether we're gonna send him to public school or private school. Right now, we are homeschooling him in preschool, but we do plan to send him to one of our private schools for 1st grade and on, unless some plans change, but that's the plans for now. Nolan and I both were raised in a private school. We really like the setting, the atmosphere, and I'm just not sure if I'm cut out to be a homeschool mom. So there's a lot of aspects about it that would be super nice. But for now, we are planning to send him to private school. A lot of our churches have private schools, and so to have this option is such a huge blessing. Someone asked, what curriculum do you use if you homeschool? Well, right now we're using Abeka. So along with that question, further down, I remember someone had wrote, do the Mennonites school their children beyond 8th grade? Very interested in Mennonites sending their children to school up to 8th grade. And do they teach them a job skill instead? So that is definitely kind of the stereotypical mindset that Mennonites only go to 8th grade. And that has sort of been the traditional thing, especially Amish and more conservative Mennonites. There are quite a few anymore that do go all the way through high school. Or if they do get out of school at 8th or 9th grade, they will continue their homework at home through 12th grade. However, there is quite a few still that do get out at 8th or 9th grade, for sure. The only thing that I would say about that is, okay, so this is not at all saying like somehow we have it figured out and are better or whatever, because I don't feel that way at all. There's definitely things lacking in the education part. But there's a lot of the curriculums that many Christian people use, the homeschool community. And I have really noticed from being a teacher myself, and also when I was a child, interacting with people that had not went through these curriculums and that were more in the public school system. And even when I was older and we went into children's ministry and had children from all over come to like our Bible schools, and we would do this once a week throughout the year, I quickly noticed on average, it just seemed like the children that were put through these large systems where you have these ginormous classrooms, and anymore it just seems from what I've understood that, you know, the grading system has kind of come down and the standards have come down a little bit as to like what you need to pass and what you don't, and children are just kind of pushed through school whether they passed a grade or not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that more and more lately. And so I would run into these children and it just seemed that so many of them, even when they were in their early teens, were reading at like what I would have considered from our schools, like more a 4th or 5th grade level. And to me, that just spoke, I'm like, what is wrong? Like, why are they stumbling so much in their reading? Like, their reading comprehension tended to be really difficult. Now, not everyone, of course not. Obviously, we also have children that struggle, but it just seems with the curriculums that we have used, and I've heard actually many of you speak of it when I spoke of this before, how quickly you all noticed how much more the student learned, and what, you know, if they'd go back to public school or another school, they were so much further ahead of the students that were there in their classroom. Different of these curriculums, like some of them, the student goes at their own pace. They can work faster if they're pretty brilliant, or they can, you know, slow down if they're trying to get a concept. Others are more class oriented, and you tend to have smaller schools with private schools where the teacher can take a lot more time per student and really help them when they're struggling and actually get them through a grade and pass them when they are ready for that. So to me, the whole thing of graduating at an earlier grade, while they might not be getting the exact full education that maybe public school, like, you know, high school graduates do, definitely not. I'm not comparing like it's kind of like comparing apples to apples, apples to oranges, whatever the saying is. I just feel like they are getting so much value in those 8, 9, 10 grades. But honestly, that might be me being partial to our system, and I don't want it to come across that way at all. But it's just something I have really noticed, and I've worked with various different children from wherever, and it just seems that there are some really good curriculums that these private schools use. The other question that had come up was, do they learn a skill set instead? And that's another big thing in our culture, is like we really want them to get hands-on experience. And if they're constantly in school up until they're 18, you know, 19, 20, if they go off to college or whatever, it just feels like there's so much in school most of their life, and they're not actually getting hands-on experience in real things. And so in our culture, it is something that is highly valued, is to teach our children different skill sets. Things that I have learned I can pass on to my children, my sons, my daughters. Stay with my husband, you know, when Xander's old enough, he can go out and work with him. Nolan will teach him everything he needs to know. We can teach him things about business, about finance. A lot of that stuff kind of gets missed sometimes in schools. How to manage their money wisely, how to work hard. You know, they get a really good work ethic when they're young. And in your teenagers, if they learn how to work hard when they're young, it should stick with them. And then when they go into life, they're so much more equipped with skills and even knowledge. And yeah, I think when people look at the Amish and Mennonites and say, oh, they've only had an 8th grade education, it can be a little bit skewed. There's definitely quite a few I've run into that definitely don't know a whole lot, and it's sad, but there's also very many that have had a very good education and are very knowledgeable, and I feel, you know, very well prepared for life. Maybe they got out of school before high school. So that's just my take on it. I rambled way too long on that. I have enjoyed watching all your house projects. What project is next on your list? Well, I just finished up the nursery. That was a lot of fun with Nolan's help. One of the next projects is to start working on the barn. We have a dream of getting more animals. There's someone coming in to fix the lighting and the wiring because it's really old and a big fire hazard. But that's kind of something we're just going to slowly work at, hopefully, because it's a big project to repaint the barn, and the inside we want to, you know, set it up a lot nicer. But yeah, that's something that's kind of on our list to do next. Would you ever consider giving a complete house farm tour? Yes, I actually could if people are interested. I think I did that one time, kind of, but I could probably do it again. What is your dream car? Right now, from a mom's perspective, we would love to get a Dodge Durango. It's big enough, it's roomy, plenty of room for the children, and it could like tow our camper so we could actually have a family ride, throw our children and stuff in it, and pull our camper to go camping. So that's definitely a dream ride of mine right now, but everything is so crazy expensive, so we're just sticking with our old falling apart Jeep. And every now and then it will leave me sit. We thought we had it fixed, and now I think it's an electrical issue. But anyway, though I always hold my breath when I'm in a parking lot hoping my car will start. You know what? For now, it works, it's paid for, and it gets us where we need to go most of the time. So, can't complain. How are you feeling physically during this pregnancy? A lot of people ask me this, and I thank you for your kindness. Someone else asked how it compared to Xander's pregnancy. I would say, as a whole, it's probably going better than it did with him. I was really uncomfortable most of the time with him, and I'd say my hormones were a lot worse with him. This time, I think it's been a lot easier as far as pregnancy goes, although I've been having a lot more pain here towards the end in my joints and my pelvic area, and it just feels like I'm falling apart and everything's cracking open. I've had a lot more Braxton Hicks. But other than that, it's been amazing. And then people were also asking, what about my ulcerative colitis? I have an autoimmune condition that flares up from time to time, and I was really worried about it flaring up during pregnancy. And God has been so good in answering that prayer. I have just been doing amazing with my gut issues. And that is just a blessing because I can't imagine being in an active flare when I'm pregnant. So praying that continues, but it's just been so much better than I expected. All right, Xander is playing Legos, so if you hear like rattle sounds in the background, that's what it is. And I'm sorry, I have this cold. I'm kind of sniffling away, probably have a red nose. Someone else asked, and now looking back, I'm thinking they asked about collagen and I wrote it down wrong, but I'll answer for both. Where do you get your bovine colostrum or collagen? I'm forgetting which one was the question. If it's collagen, I usually just get it on Amazon. I go for good reviews, make sure it's like probably organic or a good quality collagen. Another good brand would be Trim Healthy Mom. I've used them some, but they are pretty expensive. If you meant colostrum, which I've talked about that different times on this channel, I have been on this now for probably 2 years or so. It's from a brand called Innovate. I have links down in the description. This has been life-changing for me and my gut issues. It has really helped. It's not a cure-all, but it has really helped me. It's like a powder. I add it to smoothies. Sometimes you can just add it to so many different things or just mix it up with milk. It has just been, yeah, it's just been an amazing blessing to me. I have different relatives, different people I know that have tried this and have had incredible results as well. But yeah, if you ever want to hear more about it, I do have another YouTube channel which I plan to post on again. It's just, I'm just so busy and it's been sliding on the back burner, but I have that on. It's called A Gut Feeling and it's about my health stuff. I have that down in the description. Are you excited for your baby girl? Yes, I'm super excited. I can hardly believe we're having a girl. That's what we really were hoping for. Any girl names picked out? Yes, we have her name actually picked out. We've had it picked out since Christmas. Different people ask girl names that you like that we aren't using, and the thing is, we just really struggled with girl names. We did not have a long list, so I don't really even have a list. We finally just agreed on one that we both liked. So I don't really have any names here for you guys, I'm sorry. One name that we had both liked was Oakley, but yeah, we were kind of like, Nolan's like, well, it kind of reminds him of the sunglasses. But other than that, I don't really have a long list because we really struggled to get a name. When is your baby due? It's due on May 6th, and I'm hoping this time I don't go overdue like I did with Xander. I went overdue with him 10 days. So, time you see this video is 5 more weeks. So ready to be on the other side. To tell you, there's something nice about being a first-time mom when you don't really know what's coming and you just kind of naively go into birth, and there's a whole other thing being a second-time mom and you kind of know what's coming and you just dread it a lot more. Anyway, hopefully everything will be okay. Will you breastfeed your new little one? If you're able to, yes, most definitely. I had a really good milk supply with Xander, actually almost too much. So if that continues, I definitely would do that. It's so healthy. This one cracked me up. Are you Mennonites allowed to put on perfume? If so, what's your favorite perfume? Yes, we are. But I guess it's a funny question to me, but I guess if you really have no idea about Mennonites at all, you're like, well, many of them don't wear jewelry. So do they wear perfume? I can understand where the question came from. Favorite perfume, I don't wear a whole lot. I tend to be more sensitive to smells, so I don't really have any favorites. I do have some around in my drawer for when I want to especially dress up and smell nice, but I don't use it a whole lot and I don't even know the names of it. It's probably been something I've had since I was a teenager. Shows how I run my life. What do you do for yourself to recharge? I love having alone time. I recharge when I'm by myself. My husband knows this and he'll take Xander. I don't know, I'm not a shopper. Shopping does not recharge me, it wears me out. I love to be at home, to be honest. It's kind of weird, but I'm just that way. I just rejuvenate when I have a quiet, clean house and I can sit and work at something creative, something that I've been wanting to do. I also just love to take a deep hot soak in the bath. That's a huge thing, to just recharge and just to let the stress, drain off your day, just have some quiet peace. I find creating invigorates me, whatever aspect that would be. I'm also the type of person that I love to learn new things. I know it seems a little bit odd, but I do love like finance stuff, business stuff, like just understanding how certain things work and just to see if I can do something to help my husband on the side here at home, making some extra income. And so I have found a lot of fun in that, like flipping things on Facebook, just various different things. I find that super invigorating. I'm not sure why. It's just one of those things that sometimes my work, depending what work it is my stress outlet if it's something that I really enjoy. So sometimes it's kind of hard to know what the difference is. It's just having some me time to do some of those things I enjoy without being interrupted. Do you speak German or PA Dutch? I do not speak German, but Pennsylvania Dutch I do. Is kind of a dialect of German. I'm losing it some though because my husband doesn't speak it. What has changed in the Mennonite culture since you grew up? I would say probably the biggest thing is technology. And I think that's not just a Mennonite thing. I think that's pretty much everywhere. Technology has exploded. I'm thinking more like smartphones and how quickly we can communicate with people. And that has been something that has definitely is more in the Mennonite culture than it used to be. Like when I grew up, you got your news through a newspaper. We did not have TV. And so the internet was allowed. Some churches have it a lot more restricted than others. And so that has definitely opened a whole other door into the culture, into our culture. And I'd say that's probably the biggest change. Where do you live in PA? We're just a little bit outside, about 40 minutes outside of the Harrisburg area, about southwest. We're not in Lancaster. A lot of people think we're in Lancaster, but they are about an hour and a half drive from us. Someone wrote, I would like you to do Instagram stories. I know I should do more of them. However, let me just say this really quickly. If I could ever find a way to do it and be efficient and not let it have so much time consumption, I probably would. And I may do that. I've thought of doing that. I know if I would do all that, I could like grow the channel and everything better. But I struggle with this thing with being on YouTube and being on social media platforms. Like, what's the balance? What's the balance of sharing your life and just staying off? And so for YouTube, I find it more, I like it okay, first off, I've always loved creating videos. And secondly, I create videos, whether it's for YouTube or not, when we're doing something for the family. So I've been doing that for years. And so it's very important to me to have a video of certain events, especially when we go traveling, that type of thing. And so I don't mind sharing that. But besides that, when I make a video for YouTube, I can think, okay, I'm going to make a video about this subject. And so then I might film for a day, or, you know, it doesn't take real long, a few hours, or depending if it's a big project, it obviously spans over a few weeks. But it's sort of like you have your, okay, I'm going to work now, and then I can be with family now. And this has been a real struggle, even just with YouTube making videos, because it is such a big process, and a lot of people do not understand how much work goes into a YouTube channel. It looks so effortless, because if you upload like a 15-20 minute video and everything just kind of flows together and it's just like, oh, they're just taking the camera around on their day. No, it's not. Like, there's so much footage to go through and cut and edit. And if you have never done a project where you have to set up the camera from multiple angles and film every little step you do, that project takes you 3 to 4 times longer than if you would not film it at all. And not only that, you have to edit after shooting, and then you'd think that that would be done, but then suddenly you have to upload and you have to create a thumbnail. That takes a while. You have to figure out what kind of title you want, keywords and descriptions, and people are always asking me, like, what songs did you use? And then I'm like forgetting to try to remember which ones were in the video, trying to go find that and put credits in. And it's fun, I enjoy it, but it's very, very time consuming. I'm definitely getting more efficient at it since I've been at this for now about going on 4 years, I think. It's hard to believe it's that long. And I feel like I'm getting into a rhythm more where it's not nearly as time consuming, and I'm trying to schedule my life a little better. You know, certain times I work, certain times I don't. That's what I like about YouTube. Do my video, and then I'm done for, like, say I want to do one video that week. I shoot what I'm planning to, and then I can edit, you know, when Xander's doing something or in certain time slots. And that's my work. Whereas Instagram stories and all this, like, keeping up and trying to just constantly be posting, for one, to me, and no judgment to those that do, like, I so admire people that can build up all their platforms, but for me it just is like, if I don't have anything to share, what's the point? Like, I don't want to just post things to post things. Secondly, the biggest thing is the constant distraction. I don't want to go through my day and suddenly like, oh, I'm going to take a video of me doing this or me doing that and just saying this and that. And I don't really want my son to see me constantly making videos and either updating my social platforms and YouTube and Instagram, and I don't know, part of me, it just something doesn't sit right with me with that. Just for me personally, and then just this constant distraction. Like, I want to enjoy my life. I want to be present with my family, and it's something I've really struggled with. I'm really growing, trying to work at. And if I'm constantly doing stories, some people just love it, and good for them. I enjoy watching other people's stories, but for me personally, it just seems it takes something out of me. Just like, oh no, I need to do this, another thing to update people with, just to try to, you know, stay consistent or whatever. And then it's so distracting throughout the day, and it's like, you know what, this is my day with my family. Why would I try to constantly be interrupting that moment to share it with someone else. And it might seem contradictory to some people because I am on a YouTube channel, but for me, like, okay, Xander's birthday party, it's not like the most interesting thing to some people. I know it's not something that grows my channel, but I'm gonna be filming it for our memories. I already do, and then I'm done. Like, it's not like I suddenly film and then I'm like, hey, now I need to grab my phone and make a story about this and then upload it at the same time as my video, and it's such a headache. And I don't want to be known for my children as being just constantly on social media. I don't want to encourage social media for my children, and so thus I don't want it to be constant on it. And I may change my mind on that. Like, I may find something where I'm like, okay, I will upload a story once or twice a week, and I'm going to do it kind of consistently like I do a YouTube channel, instead of just randomly throughout the day if I have a better schedule where it's not like my children are always seeing me, you know, just every time I do something I have to bring out my phone to record it. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So that's why I'm not very active on Instagram. It's too distracting, and I feel like it's just too much. With YouTube, I can just focus on a project, edit it, and then I'm done. Whereas Instagram is just this constant whatever, and I like to free up headspace. But I would like to be more consistent. And also, I do have a Telegram account. This I find like I can just be more free and just randomly pick up my phone and share something like a quick picture or just a quick video. I'm not over there being consistent. I'm not putting all kinds of effects and little graphics and words and votes and stickers on it because it takes too much time to do all that. I just pretty much upload a picture. Hey, this is what I'm doing today. Maybe I should treat Instagram more that way too, instead of thinking I need to have all the extra effects and all the little cute things. I probably would do more stories than if I wouldn't have to do that, because that also is very time consuming. But that's my little rant about Instagram, I guess. Just my personal take on it. My favorite coffee, chock full of nuts, hands down, for at home anyway. How do you work through marriage conflicts? Slam the door and throw things at each other. No, I'm kidding. Oh man. Thankfully, Nolan is a huge peacemaker, and I'm also one that does not enjoy conflict much, especially being in a long-term conflict. Like, we can't stand that friction, and it can happen. Like, you can kind of just at each other, like kind of wear at each other, where you're not openly having conflict, but you're a little bit just, something really made you upset and you're just letting the other one know by giving them the cold shoulder. I'd say that happens a little bit more for us. But Nolan is super good. If he knows something is bothering me, he will not let me go to sleep at night until it gets all worked out. So he has been a huge blessing, because I tend to be the type that I just run from my problems and I don't want to talk about it, and he's one that digs. So I'm not really sure what to say for that. We have our fights, trust me, we do have our fights, but I'd say they're not really screaming, shouting sessions. It's more like disagreements, and then we irritate each other, and then it takes a little bit till we get it worked out. But just talk it through is, I think, the biggest thing that works for us. Like, don't let it go on for too long. Like, you have to resolve it, or things will just build up. And even if you think it's minor, like, hey, it's not important, I'm gonna shove it away. And then later something else really small comes up, and something else really small comes up, and before long this whole thing builds up, and then you just explode. And so I think it's better to just talk about the little things, say, hey, this kind of irritated me or whatever, and work through them as they come instead of letting everything build up. Another thing that I try really hard to do is watch my words, watch my fighting words, because there are certain words that are literally fighting words, and I fail in this. And we women are pretty good with our tongues sometimes, I think. I forget where I've heard it, but they say you never use the words you always or you never. And so I try to always stay away. Like, I consciously try my mind to stay away from the pronouns you, even. Not always. Like, this is just something I consciously think of when I'm really trying to frame the words I'm speaking. Instead of directing the conflict at the person, let's just say something like trash, which this is not an argument for us. Nolan often takes the trash out, and I do as well. If instead of saying, like, I just feel you never take the trash out, you know, I try to, like, how can I rephrase that so I'm not saying you, never, for one, or how can I just leave the pronouns out? For instance, it bugs me when the trash just sits around and I'm too busy to take it out, when I feel like it's not my job. It is my, like, I'm just phrasing this here, whoever's responsibility it is to take the trash out. But if you would rephrase it in a way where the attention is not directed at the person and you're not using pronouns like you, instead focus on the object that frustrates you and how it frustrates yourself. And I found that really helps with not letting things escalate so quickly. And you can't always do that. Sometimes you definitely have to use the pronoun you.
Look, I tripped and all these eggs got put on the steps.
The eggs?
Yeah. Come look.
Go wash it off. Xander was just bringing in a whole basket of eggs, and he tripped on the front steps, and there's broken eggs all over the front porch. Oh, this is, oh well, mistakes happen, but there went all our eggs, and now we have to clean that up. Anyway, so I guess I'm just saying, watch your fighting words, search into it and see what makes a person like react and get all defensive. Because it's really hard, especially if you're trying to work through a problem and there's something that your partner does that really irritates you. Instead of just directing it straight at them, try to direct it at the conflict point. Not them as the conflict, but the thing that frustrates you. Another thing, someone had told me when I was a teenager, and I always have kind of stuck to this. Maybe not always in my marriage, and I need to do this more, but especially with, I try to remember this. When you're delivering a criticism to someone or something that you feel they should improve in, you make it like a sandwich. You first give them a compliment, something they're doing well, something you really appreciate about them, and then give them the criticism and then end with a compliment. So you have 2 compliments and a criticism in between. And I feel that really helps, because if someone comes to me and has something that they have a problem with me, I mean, your immediate reaction is just to no, like, you have no right to talk to me like this, and it's human tendency. But, if they come to you graciously and say, I appreciate this about you and all the work you put into here, but I feel like you could grow in this area, bring the problem, whatever, I feel like this is a weak spot, but then end with, but then you also are very whatever in this area. Just a few things that came to my mind. Do you have Easter traditions? We as a family don't really. We probably should more. I didn't grow up with that a whole lot. And it just kind of, for us too, I don't know if Nolan's family did terribly much either around Easter. So yeah, we probably should start some traditions, but I don't really have a whole lot. Can you explain the Mennonite take on Lent, Easter? This was asked by someone that said they're Catholic. I have never really studied into Lent a whole lot. I've never done it myself. I do know that some of Nolan's family has done it. Some of his siblings do Lent or like a part of Lent. So yeah, I don't really feel like I have much to say on that because I'm not very knowledgeable in it, and I probably should study into it more. I'm sorry. I should have a better answer than that.
I love you.
I love you too. I just have one more question here, bud. This question is pretty deep. How would you explain Easter? I'd love to hear your thoughts on Jesus' death and resurrection. What would you say is the core message of Easter? I'm asking because although I am firmly believing in and trying to follow Jesus Christ, I sometimes struggle with the cross. All right, so I'm just jumping in here. This question, I felt like I really rambled, and I decided I wanted to redo it and try to cover it a little bit better. And instead of including it in this video, since everything's getting so long and I got asked so many deep questions by the way, what I feel is deep, where you can't just answer them quickly, I decided to make an other video that's unlisted with just this question. So if you want to hear my thoughts and whatever, you can go down in the description. I'll have a link to that with just this question. Because it did get pretty long, and I thought maybe I'd just make a quick separate video for whoever is interested. So it's down in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. This ended up being quite some time because so many of these questions were quite deep, and I probably should have tackled them all because I'm completely drained. But yes, this will obviously probably be split into multiple parts because it's way too long for one video. But thanks for your questions, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.